Okay, so today I'll be going through the Maha Bodhi School 2024 WA2 for P5. Okay, so let's start. Okay, question 1. 11 girls shared 8 meters of ribbon. Find the length of ribbon each girl received. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So we have to find the length of the ribbon each girl. So total ribbon is 8 meters. So to find one girl, you have to take the total length, which is 8. You divide by 11 girls. Okay, so for this question, this whole paper, you can use your calculator, right? So you key this in your calculator, you'll get a chain of numbers. So for this, they just need you to correct the 2 decimal places. So here, what we need to write down is just one more decimal place than what is required. So that would be 3 decimal places. I'll just write down based on what you type in the calculator. You will get 0.727, okay? And then you round off to 2 decimal places. Okay, so 7 here, we'll round up. So we will get 0.73. That's your answer for question 1. Okay, question 2. 2.51 is equal to how many hundreds? So for this recap, 0.01 is 1 out of 100. Okay, so meaning that is 100. So for 2.51, okay, it will be 251 out of 100. Okay, as such, this one, how many hundreds will it be? It will be 251 hundreds. Okay, so your answer will be 251. All right, so let's move on. Okay, question 3, right? It's a ratio question, so we will skip that question. We'll move on to question 4. Okay, the solid below is made out of 1 cm cubes. How many more 1 cm cubes must be added to the solid to form a cuboid measuring 6 cm by 4 cm by 4 cm? All right, so 6 cm is the length, breadth, and height. So looking at 6 cm, right, here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one can form the length already. Okay, and then the breadth, which is 4 cm. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is already the breadth, which is 4. And then the height. So this figure here, okay, it has 1, 2. This is the third. This is the fourth. So the height-wise, it can also go up to 4 already. So basically, just as long as you make it the whole thing 6 by 4 by 4, okay, into a full cuboid, you are able to form this cuboid that you're looking for. Okay, so this whole cuboid measuring 6 by 4 by 4 total, we need to find out how many cubes you need. So simply just take 6 times 4 times 4. Total, you will need 96. The question is asking how many more you need, right? So let's just count currently. The figure here is made out of how many cubes? Okay, so we count layer by layer. Currently, there are 4 layers, okay? So let's count each layer, how many are there? So for the top layer here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the first layer is 5. Okay, the bottom, the second layer has that 5 and another 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so the second layer has 9. And then the third layer here, okay, it has 9 and another, all these extra. So it will be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. The third layer has 16. Okay, and then the fourth layer at the bottom, it has 16 and all these extra here. Okay, so it'll be 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So the fourth layer has 24. Okay, so altogether, you add the 4 layers together, be 5 plus 9 plus 16 plus 24. That will give us, this figure here has 54 1 cm cubes. Okay, so remember just now total, to form the 6 by 4 by 4 cm cuboid, you need 96 in total. Currently, you only have 54. So how many more you need? You just take 96 minus 54. The answer will be 42 more 1 cm cubes. Okay, so that's your answer. All right, so let's move on. So question 5, Aaron has less than 110 stickers. If he gives 6 stickers to each of his friends, he'll have no stickers left. Then if he gives 8 stickers to each of his friends, he'll be short of 34 stickers. So how many stickers does Aaron have? So for this question, you will see that they give you that he has less than 110 stickers. And then there's 2 scenarios here. This is scenario 1, this is scenario 2. So for both scenarios, you need to know that Aaron's stickers is actually the same. So for this, I will do model drawing for this. And then for 2 bars, each one will represent each scenario. Okay? So like I've mentioned, in both scenarios, the stickers that Aaron has must be equal. So we look at the first scenario. If he gives 6 stickers to each of his friends, he will have no stickers left. So exactly, he will make use of all the stickers here, and each friend will have 6 each. Okay? The second scenario is if he gives 8 stickers to each friend, he'll be short of 34, meaning he needs another 34 more stickers. So I will add in another 34. And with this 34, he'll be able to give each friend 8 stickers. Okay, so you see this is 6 each and this is 8 each. Meaning here this 34 will actually account for 8 minus 6 will give us 2 each. Alright, so I can write down here, this is 8 minus 6 will give us the 2 each. So if each friend has 2 each, he will need this 34. Okay, so in order to find number of friends, okay, you just take the number of stickers he needs if he gives each friend 2. You just take 34, divide by 2, you can find the number of friends. Okay, so he has 17 friends. So once we go back, he says how many stickers does Aaron have, right? You can either choose scenario 1 or scenario 2. But in this case, scenario 1 is easier because it's just 17 friends, each friend having 6 stickers. So I'll just take 17 times 6. We will get the answer 102 stickers. Okay? Okay, moving on. Question 6. So Nancy bought some pens at $1.85 each and some correction tapes at $3.50 each. She bought 16 more pens than correction tapes and spent a total of $147.30. How many correction tapes did she buy? So for this question, they tell us the individual cost of the pen. One is $1.85 and for one correction tape is $3.50. And then next, they tell us the quantity difference between the number of pens and the correction tape is 16 more pens. And then they tell us the total amount spent on all the pens and the correction tapes. Okay, so first thing first, looking at this 16 more pens and correction tapes, I'm going to draw the quantity model first of the pen to the correction tape. Okay, take note, this is comparing the quantity, like how many pens and how many correction tape. Okay, so pens, there's 16 more, right? So whenever we have difference in the quantity, right, what we have to do is we have to get rid of this extra 16. Okay, so how to get rid of this extra 16? I have to find the value of 16 pence. So 16 pence will be 16 times $1.85. That will give me, you can use your calculator, all this, $29.60. Okay, so like I said, I want to get rid of this extra 16 so that they have the same quantity, right? So after I get rid of this, I have to minus this $29.60 from my total, which is $147.30. Okay, so my new total, okay, will be $147.30. You minus away the cost of your 16 pence, which is $29.60, which will give us $117.70. Okay, so now once you've gotten rid of the extra, now the quantity of the pens and the correction tape, they are equal, but you don't know how many. So when we are at this stage, what we do is we will do grouping. Okay, when you have equal number, but you don't know how many, Okay, in your one group, since it's equal, right? It will be 1 pen. Okay, so I'll just put the cost there. It's $1.85. And 1 correction tape. It's $3.50. Okay? And then, so you don't know how many of such groups, but you know that it's equal, but you don't know how many of these groups are there. And then remember, there's also another 16 pens just now that you have gotten rid. Okay, but this portion here, there's the equal number, excluding these 16 pens, will be equal to your new total here that you have calculated. Okay, so your total will be $117.70. All right, so now for grouping, right? Total is $170.70. We find the total in one group. So I'll write total in, okay, hold on. This is total in one group. Okay, it will be $1.85 plus your $3.50 for your correction tape. Because it's 1 pen and 1 correction tape, that will give us total is $5.35 for one group. Remember, I just said the total is $170.70. One group is $5.30. So to find number of groups, you take the total, divide by the total of one group. So you take $170.70, divide by $5.35. You key into your calculator, you will get 22 groups. Okay? So once we've gotten this step, then we go back to the question. The question is asking us how many correction tapes did she buy, right? So one group, there is 1 correction tape. So since you have 22 groups, it will just be 22 times 1. That will give us our answer, 22 correction tapes. Okay? If the question is asking for pens, you have to add back the 16 pens that you have removed just now. But in this case, they are just asking for correction tape, so our answer will be 22. All right, so with that, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question 7 now. Daniel spent $1,825 of his salary on rent and $1,150 on some new furniture. He gave 5 out of 9 of the remaining to his parents and had 1/4 of his salary left. So how much was Daniel's salary? All right. So for questions like this that always have fraction of a remainder, you need to draw model for such questions. All right. So first thing first, this 1,825 and this 1,150 is not part of the remainder. So if I draw model, all these will be outside of the remainder. Okay, so I'll draw this 2 portion first. This 1,825. Okay, I'll label it for your rent. Okay, and then I have this 1,150, which is for furniture. Okay, I'll also label it as F. Okay, this part here is your remainder because after you spend on your rent and your furniture, then this part is your remainder. So looking at your remainder, right, your fraction denominator, it says that your total remainder should have 9 units. Okay, so currently you only have 1, so I will draw my drop-down model and draw my 9 units, okay? Okay, so for this one, right, this part here, your remainder portion is equal. So you have to ensure the top and the bottom is equal number of units. On top is 1, below it's 9. So the common multiple of 1 and 9 will be 9. So you have to make this 9 units, you simply just label this as 9U. Each one for the bottom will just be 1U each. Okay, so I'll just label. Okay, then we go back to the question. It tells us that he gave 5 out of 9 of the remaining to his parents. So it means that 5 units will be for his parents. Okay, so I'll just put P. All right, and this is his salary left. Okay, so here it's 4 units. But you take a look here. It says that he had 1/4 of his salary left. So the salary left is here, out of the total of 4. Here means it's 1 unit. Okay. So here, I'll just write down left is 1/4 of the total. So it's 1 unit. But you look at our model drawn. Okay, let me use another color. Our left here is 4 units, whereas for our fraction here is 1 unit. Okay, so actually we have to make sure these two, 4 and 1, you have to make them the same number. So we have to find the lowest common multiple of 1 and 4, which is 4. So what I need to do, this is already 4, so I don't need to change it. I have to change this 1 to become 4. What you need to do is just times 4 times 4. Okay, down. This one, okay, I just times 4 times 4. The new fraction I will get will be 4 out of 16 total. Okay, so now, see, I've matched. My left here is 4 units. My left in the model is also 4 units. All right, so with that, my new total will be 16 units. So let me just write down here. Total will be 16U. Okay, so what I have to do, my value in my model, okay, I have to focus on all these numbers here. These are the value that are given. Okay, I have to find out how many units these two values here represent. So now I know my total is 16, the remainder is 9. So meaning this $1,825 and this 1,150 must be 16U minus 9. That will give me 7U. Okay, so my 7 units will be my this two portion, the 1,825 and my 1,150. So 7U is equals to 1,825 plus $1,150. Okay, key into your calculator, you will get $2,975. Okay, always we have to find 1 unit. You will take $2,975 divided by 7. We will get our answer, $425. Okay, then we go back to the question. They're asking how much is Daniel's salary. So Daniel's salary total is 16 units, right? So it will be 16U will be 16 times $425. That will give us our answer, $6,800. Okay, so my final answer will be $6,800. Okay, let me just write it nicer. Okay. Okay, then let's move on. To question 8 now. Question 8. ABCD is a rectangle with an area of 2,170 square centimeters. X and Y are points on AB. AX is 1/5 of AB and AY is half of AB. XY is 21 cm. Find the height of triangle XYC. All right. So for this question, they are asking you for the height of XYC. So for the height of XYC, right? You look here, triangle XYC, this one is the base, 21 cm. The height actually is this perpendicular height, BC. Okay, please do not choose this slanted height. So actually the height of the triangle is just asking you for the breadth of the rectangle. Okay, so to find what's the breadth of the rectangle, we have to go back to look at all this comparison first. Okay, let's look at the first comparison. We have AX is 1/5 of AB. Okay, so with this comparison, right, the number on top will refer to the AX is 1 unit, and then the number in the denominator will refer to the number of units for AB. Okay, so AB is 5 units. The second comparison is AY is half of AB, so meaning AY, okay, will be 1 unit, and then AB will be 2 units. All right. So you see, AB is actually a common length for both comparison. But when you look at the units representing AB here, it's 5. AB here is 2. It's different. So what you have to do is you have to make the denominator of both fractions the same. Okay. So the common multiple of 5 and 2 is actually 10. So to make it become 10, I have to times 2 times 2, which will give me, okay, wait, let me just write it later. So 1 out of 5, you times 2, it will give me 2 out of 10. Okay, and then for 1 out of 2, to make it the denominator 10, I have to times 5, it will give me 5 out of 10. Okay, so now you see both is 10. So let me just change another color to write down the lengths that it actually represents. So the 2 here now is, this one is for AX, this one is for AB. Okay, then the 5 is for AY. Wait, this one is for AY, and this is for AB. Okay, so let's label on this diagram. So AX is from here to here, it will be 2 units. Okay, AB, it's the whole length of the rectangle. Here to all the way to the end here, it's 10 units. And then for AY is from here to here, which is 5 units. So looking at this, we have the value of 21 here. 21 cm is x to y. We have AY, we have AX. So to find XY, okay, we just simply take 5 minus the 2. Okay, so let me write down. 5 units minus 2 units will give me 3 units. These 3 units will correspond to the XY of 21 cm. So let's write that down. 3u equals to 21. Okay, we always need to find 1 unit. You take 21, divide by 3, it becomes 7. Okay, so the question, okay, we need to find the breadth of the rectangle, right? So we are given the area of the rectangle. So we just need to find the length now, which is 10 units. So find 10 units will just be 10 times 7 will be 70. Okay, so if we have the area, we have the length, how do we find the breadth? We just simply take the area divided by the length of 70. Okay, you key in your calculator, you will get the answer 31 cm for the breadth. Okay, which is also the height of the triangle. Okay, let me write this neater. Okay, so the answer is 31 cm. Okay. Okay, let's move on to question 9. Let me clear my drawings. Okay. So for question 9, 18 identical comic books and 12 identical storybooks were stacked up to a height of 69.42 cm. When 10 of the comic books and 4 of the storybooks were removed, the height of the remaining stack was 35.6 cm. What was the thickness of each comic book? All right. So first thing they tell us the 18 comic books and the 12 storybooks is 69.42. When you remove 10 comic books and 4 storybooks, the height is 35.6. Okay, so let me find out what is after you remove the 10 and the 4, what is left. Okay, so to find what is left, you simply take 18 minus 10, will leave you with 8 comic books. 12, you take away 4, will also leave you with 8 storybooks. All right, so let me write that down. 8 comic book plus 8 storybooks will be 35.6. Okay, so these are both our numbers are equal. So means I can find 1 comic book and 1 storybook. Okay, I simply just take this, divide by 8. We will get 4.45. Okay, next. I have 1 comic book and 1 storybook now, right? So the question is asking me for the thickness of each comic book. Okay, so what I want to do is actually I want to get rid of storybooks. Okay, I want to get rid of the storybooks. So what I have to do is if I want to get rid of storybooks and only left with comic books, I have to make the number of storybooks the same. So currently I have 18 comic books and 12 storybooks, right? Let's make the storybooks here become 12. Okay, so I write down 12 comic books plus 12 storybooks will just be 12 times 4.45. Okay, because this one is one comic book and one storybook. So I want 12 sets of it, I just times 12. We will get 53.4 cm. Okay, so now let me write down again. 18 comic book plus 12 storybooks is 69.42. 12 comic books plus 12 storybooks will be 53.4 cm. Okay, so see, I've made the storybooks the same, right? So if I actually find the difference between these two, okay, the storybooks and storybooks will cancel out. Okay, no more storybooks. Okay, whichever that is left, when you minus, it will just be left with comic books, which is exactly what I want. Okay, so if I find a difference in comic books, it'll be 18 comic books minus the 12 comic books here. It'll be 6 comic books. So same thing, I have to take this 69.42, I have to find the difference between this number and the 53.4. So the difference will be 69.42. I minus the 53.4. Okay, I will get 16.02. Next, I can find one comic book. I simply just take 16.02, I divide by 6. That will give me my answer, 2.67. Okay, so your answer for question 9 will be 2.67 cm for one comic book. All right? Okay, so let's move on to the last question. An equal number of boys and girls attended a school event in the morning. In the afternoon, another 84 boys joined and 28 girls left. In the evening, another 41 boys and 33 girls joined. In the end, there were 5 times as many boys as girls. How many children attended the school event in the morning? All right, so we start off with equal number, okay? So every time there's an equal, there's a good place to start. So we start off in the morning, you have boys and you have girls. So let's draw the model for both to be equal. So what happened in the afternoon is another 84 boys joined. Okay, so this one I'll use dotted line to represent joining. And 28 girls left. So this one is take away 28. Okay. In the evening, another 41 boys joined. So I add on dotted line, another 41. And 33 girls joined. All right, so take note, just now 28 girls actually left, but 33 girls joined back. So right after joining, it must definitely be more than the original because 28 is lesser than 33. Okay, so I will represent the 33 joining here. Okay, means after I add 33, it should be more than the original. All right, and then they say in the end, there were 5 times as many boys as girls, meaning at the end, boys will be 5 units. So let me label the total. At the end, will be 5 units. And then for the girls, the new amount of girls now will be 1 unit. All right. So what we do, we find the difference between the 5 units and the 1 unit is actually 4 units here. Okay, so how do we find the 4 units here to here? Okay, we simply just take 84 plus 41, you minus this portion here. So how to find this portion here is actually just 33 minus 28 will give us 5. Okay, so this 5 you put here. Okay, so just now like I mentioned, to find the 4 units from here to here, you just take 84 plus 41 minus this portion here, 5. Okay, so you key in your calculator, you will get 120. So always have to find 1 unit. You take 120 divided by 4, we will get 30 for 1 unit. So once we find 1 unit, we always go back to the question, how many children attended the school event in the morning? All right, so basically we just need to find out how much is the girls. Okay, this is the beginning, starting is here, the original amount. Okay, and then we times 2. So take note, here to here is 1 unit, right? So to find the original number of girls, you simply take 1 unit, which is 30, minus the 5. Okay, so 30 minus 5 is the original number of girls. Okay, since the boys and girls at the beginning is equal, you just take 25 times 2 will be 50 people originally in the morning. Okay, 25 girls and 25 boys. And that's the answer, 50. Okay, but actually take note, there's actually an error in this question because, like I said, the original number of girls is 25, right? But it tells us that in the afternoon, 28 girls left. If the original is 25, it's not possible that there's 28 girls leaving. Okay, so there's actually an error in this question, but following the flow and the concept of this is how we solve it. Okay, but this question actually, it will be error. Right? So with this, we've come to the end of this paper. Thank you.